says it's being live streamed.
Okay, yes, for life.
Are we good now? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to COR Tax and Bookkeeping Weekly Wednesday webinar. Um, our host today is Samantha Rodriguez and all her greatness.
I'll-
Sam, tell us what we're going to be talking about today.
So we will be talking about AI implementation for small businesses.
Yeah.
Understanding what are the opportunities, the risk of our future AI. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
like I feel like that's a super hot topic right now. A lot of people are calling
Yes.
it the AI hype, right? But I think hype indicates something that like is being over exaggerated or that like something that's more than what, being made out to be more than what it really is. But truly like what AI is doing right now is pretty revolutionary for what I see in the accounting profession.
Mhm.
Ms. Mauricio and Casey, you guys want to give any feedback on kind of what you're hearing from clients and kind of your experiences with what you've seen AI doing so far? Talk a little bit about that.
I think from clients, they're just unsure of what AI is capable of. They
Yeah.
don't want to lose the person
Mhm.
touch, but they don't realize what AI, that you're not going to lose the personal touch with AI. AI is just going to come in to be more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah. And Miss Mauricio, what about you? What
The
is your
same,
experience?
the same. They are very, they're hesitant. They like the one-on-one, and it's just something new, like everything else, right?
Yeah.
And as we evolve and we introduce it, I think it'll be great, and it'll be a good experience for them. So we have find other ways to support them.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you, I can speak to like from the business owner's perspective of what it looks like to go through AI implementation. It's a lot more complicated and there's a lot more moving parts than just, I think, what as business owners we're accustomed to doing when new technology comes out. Like a lot of times when new technology rolls out, it's just, oh, well, let me go buy it, right? And I'm gonna just, install it on my computer. Or I'm gonna buy this new device that I can manage, like it's pretty simple, straightforward of what you need to do. But I think with AI, there's a lot more considerations that you have to make as an owner to be able to successfully implement, and deploy and train. And there's just so many things that go into it. It's one of the biggest changes that I've experienced with what we do in the firm. I mean, it's completely changing all of our internal processes and um, I think we're going to talk about that today. One of, that I can't really speak to what it looks like for every industry, but I can definitely speak to what it feels like on the accounting business owners side, cash services, tax services. I can speak to that. And I think, Sam, that's what our presentation today kind of covers is like my
Mhm.
personal experience with it up to this point,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to start the slides, we can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Well, that's a friendly
Oh.
looking robot. Wish they
Hmm.
put a
Yeah.
smile on its face. It's like- oh, that's great. So, AI implementation for small business. So, understanding the opportunities, risks, and futures of AI. That's what we're going to
Hmm.
be talking about today. Why are we talking about this? I think. I mean, I can tell you guys my story of how like this all really started. I knew that AI was coming, right? Like I've known for a while now that it was going to be something that was going to, that was going to change the way that we do things in the accounting world. Um, I would say I didn't realize how advanced it has become and how quickly it's moving until I started getting firsthand experience working with a team of developers, working on a piece of AI software, seeing like what even the process of creating the technology is expedited beyond anything that I've ever seen before. Where systems and technology would take years to update, right? Like, I mean, I think in the accountant world, we can talk about QuickBooks Desktop, right? Like, how long did it take for us to get from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online? It took years, like a decade, for everyone to get comfortable with those changes. Um, but now with AI technology and even just like the software coding of the newer technologies and needing to upgrade and needing to patch and change and do all those things. Like those things were before they used to take years or months, now they're being done in days, and hours. So it really does make everything a lot more efficient. Today's goal for for this webinar is really for me to provide some education for other accounting and tax business owners, people who work in the same space as I do, as to like some insight into what I'm experiencing that I hope, perhaps could help you along your path. And also just to give other business owners in general, what my experience has been so they can start thinking about, well, how is this going to apply to me and how can I possibly, maybe look at some AI tools to streamline my processes and make things more efficient in my business. Like where are the bottlenecks? And I've always talked about, with our clients, we look for bottlenecks that they have in their processes and we try to find a piece of technology that can help to make those, clear up those bottlenecks and make things run more smoothly. With AI now, like a lot of those technologies are going to be different AI systems, different research tools, different agents, all those types of things. And so, why are we talking about it? Really, just because I want to provide that education to the people watching us live or watching this recorded session later, so that my hope is that it will help you in your journey as we change in technology over the next few years. So.
Mhm.
We can go to the next slide.
Yeah. Before we proceed, I just wanted to ask you something, Miss Brandy. So, having that said, why do you believe that AI has become such an important topic for business owners today?
Well, I think that, like I said, I mean, everybody has bottlenecks in their business,
Mhm.
and some of those bottlenecks have been really difficult to overcome because of the need for um, problem solving, but the need of logic, right? Like human logic, being able to problem solve things. And up to, this point in technology, it was like a one or a zero, right? When it came to technology, like it could do this or this, and it didn't really have the ability to problem solve, right? To be able to look at something and to be able to provide a possible solution for a problem, or even to just review and audit things, right? Like even that technology really hasn't been there. But um, with what the AI is doing now, and even with what agents are able to do now, there's just so many things that can be more efficient, more automated, can even be handled more efficiently by technology rather than having a person do it. And also, I think that there has to come you have to, as a business owner, look at your people and ask yourself, like, what are the things that my employees are doing that are not a really good use of their time, that like an AI could potentially do for them so they can do this bigger thing. I want all, and we talked about human touch a little bit, right? Like if a lot of those administrative repetitive tasks are being handled by AI, that frees up your people to be able to do more one-on-one contact with your customers, to really be able to provide that great customer service. And that is a thing that is across every single industry. Like every industry needs that, right? And so I feel like that's really why we need to talk about it, and also, it is going to cut costs for us as business owners. It has the potential to save us quite a bit of money on the ability to scale, to be able to handle more than what you're handling now for any business. And I think that's important, and just like any other major technology shift that's happened in the world, if you aren't looking at it in the beginning, when it's first rolling out, the founding levels of it, you'll find yourself behind. And sometimes when you find yourself behind in technology, it's too late to try to get caught up. And so that's really why I want to talk about this today. People to start thinking about this and start talking about it.
Sure. Yeah. All right, thank you. And now let's proceed to the next slide.
Okay. So what is AI? And I think Sam, this is a really great, like, simple, this keeps it really simple. It does automate repetitive tasks. It can analyze information faster, improving efficiency and support decision making. One of the things that I really like about the chat bot AI, right? Because there's like different types of AI that are out there. There's the chat
Yeah.
there's the chats, and then there's the chat GPTs and the, different GPTs that are available to the different professions that are out there because they are making them specific to different industries. And then there's like the agents that are actually able to go into your systems and be able to like perform tasks, right? Look in your email and send responses, categorize and things that maybe you would have had to have an administrative assistant doing in the past. It can handle a lot of those things. Um, and then also like the analyzing of information, 100%. Like I've seen that in my own business where I need to compare two different documents to one another. I used to have to have one, and do like a put it in spreadsheets, do the VLOOKUP, hopefully the VLOOKUP worked and everything came out right so that there's no issues with the formulas. Well, now like I can just upload the two documents into a GPT that's specific for what we do. I want to make sure I emphasize this too. There's a lot of public GPTs on the market right now, Claude, Chat, what is it, Copilot, like there's a lot of public ones. And I want to be very clear about this. Like, I don't recommend that anybody put any of their personal sensitive information into a public facing GPT. Lawyers, CPAs and accountants like us, people in these types of professions that are handling sensitive information, there are GPTs available to us that are specific for our industry, that are protected, that have that are limited to the resources that it checks, right? So like for us, our GPTs only look at very specific sites for information, and even for processes of how to compare documents like that to compare two sets of financial documents to look for differences. It uses instructions based off of very, very specific places. It doesn't just go out into the internet and look at it. But if you have those safeguards in place, you can utilize those tools to make things a lot faster than maybe what it would have taken before. Definitely improving efficiency within our firm. I think that since we've deployed it, it's really helped a lot of our team, especially when it comes to trading and questions, because now they have reliable places that they can go to look for information and answers to their questions rather than having to wait for me to do it.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge game changer for, I feel like, our internal staff. And then also just supporting decision making 100%. If I am trying to put something together for a client, a tax strategy or something like that, like I can always put that into, again, like a very specific GPT that we use for accounting. And it can review it and let me know if I missed anything, or if there's something I didn't consider. The tax law is huge. It's enormous, and I think that for a lot of years, we've looked at people that have like the whole tax code memorized. We're like, oh, that's amazing. You have the whole tax code memorized. Well, now we don't have to do that anymore. The whole tax code is available on the IRS website. It's all there in different directories and sites and things like that. And so now we have a way to easily search that for information that we need without having to, and not just searching for it to look for a specific topic, but searching for it to apply to a specific situation. Like that's always been the challenge, is trying to find a way to look in the tax code to find what you need to apply to a specific situation. And now that technology is available and it helps to make better decisions and make better recommendations and advisory recommendations to our clients. Yeah. Okay. How businesses are using AI today. Well, I think what I've seen the biggest change is especially in the marketing and content creation, graphic design, video editing, even like renderings, right? Drawings and renderings. I've seen a lot of change in those types of businesses. Where before, if you wanted to choose a paint color for your house, I use this example because I feel like it was the most surprising to me. I was trying to decide on what color to paint my house, and the color wheel is never ending. And you could in order to determine like, well, what do I want it to look like? How do I want it to look? I was able to actually just like take a picture of the front of my house and ask a GPT to show me what my house would look like if I painted it white with black trim around the windows. And within a minute and a half, it provided me a professional grade rendering of what my house would look like, and it was beautiful. I asked it to do the landscape design, gave it a little bit of guidance as to what I wanted, and it put it all together. And within 5 minutes, I had a complete rendering of what I wanted my front yard to look like. It was even able to go as far as to tell me like the specific plants that it recommended. It went as far as to tell me like the takeoff, like how much of each like stone that it had that I should use, how many gallons of paint I should possibly buy. Like it was able to do a lot of those recommendations just based off of a picture that I provided it, which was pretty shocking to me because I expected it to, I expected it to give me a picture, but I'm not to the level of what it did. So that's been a huge change. I think, Sam, for content creation, and social media, like what you've been doing, I think that it's helped enormously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, where do you find that it has been the most helpful to you when it comes to working on the marketing side of things?
I think mostly on the copywriting because I want to make sure that all of our contents and the marketing collaterals that we have, it's unique.
Hmm.
So I always ask GPT to provide me content. I mean, I can even create a content for the whole month already using GPT and provide me with some suggestion on the graphics, everything that, and even engaging comments, that could engage our audience. So it really helped me a lot on the marketing side. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think like from my perspective on the marketing side, just coming up with campaign strategies,
True.
like I mean, we used to have to spend, tens of thousands of dollars on marketing companies to develop
Yes.
a marketing strategy for the company, but now we really don't have to do that. Like we can develop all of that within a GPT, like, and it can
Yeah.
do it. And we even like in the one I was talking about that's specific for accounting firms, right? Accounting and tax firms. There's a GPT that's specific for marketings, marketing, content creation, all those things inside of our one that's built for accountants that's specific to accountants. So it's like it's marketing, but it's specific to an accounting firm rather than just a general public facing GPT. So that's what I mean. Like there's and this is just, we're just at the very beginnings of this. Like I was in a seminar earlier in the week and I heard someone say, we are working with the dumbest form of AI that we will ever work with, which is kind of mind blowing to think about it because I think about like how quick and how much the AI is doing now. And I'm like, and this is like the most elementary version of it. It's only going to continue to get better from here. So, I did try to make a marketing video with some AI software, and that just came out really weird. Like it was really odd. So I didn't end up using it, and I haven't tried to use it again because I think that that probably still needs more work. But that was also very, very interesting. I think that also the Chelsea who handles our website, I think she uses AI also to help troubleshoot and problem solve different issues that we have with domains and web stuff. I mean, I know that where I have seen it be the most successful for us in this business has been in the marketing and sales sides of things. I think, but like I said, we're just at the very beginnings of implementation in our processes. So I think it's only gonna get better. Um, I think that reports, analytics for sure, um, even accounting support, I think all of that is AI is gonna touch all of those areas in the coming 6 months. I mean, a lot of people are saying like 5 years. It's like, no, in 5 years, we're gonna be so far beyond where we are right now. I really think that, AI software specific to accounting and tax is really, really going to it's gonna be coming on in full force by the end of this year for sure. So in all areas, not just tax, but cash services also. I think all of that is going to be really it's going to become it's going to have a major role. in what we do
Yeah.
in the next 6 months. All right. So here we go. AI in accounting and bookkeeping. So I know that Casey, you and Miss Mauricio, both of y'all have kind of seen some of the things that, and Sam, I think I've shown you too. I think I've had you in some of those meetings also, where I've shown
Yes.
you guys like what AI is capable of doing. What has been the thing that you have seen so far in AI, in the AI specific to what we do, that was kind of surprising to you that it was able to do that already? Like, what did you guys see?
Mm, the way it can get the way we can just give it docs and ask it what's missing from these docs, or put all the docs information together. The way it can compile the information for you very quickly that would normally take somebody probably about 2 hours. It took it a few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think getting those checklists together, like the
Yes.
checklist for clients of what all they need to provide. Um, I do feel like AI is making that a lot more thorough. And I
Yes.
think also like us being able to provide it with the change information for a new year, right? So like we can provide it last year's info, and then we can tell it, this person also got married, had a baby, bought a house, purchased a new vehicle. We could feed those other parameters into it, those other details, and then it will like even adjust the list from that point. So I thought that was very impressive. Miss Mauricio, what have you seen the AI do so far that you felt was like kind of surprising that it could do already?
I'm thinking that if it could just take on all the what we call the simple tasks or the redundant where it's repetitive over and over again. If it
Mhm.
could, if it's taking all of that, once we really like get everybody on it, then it would be ideal because it would accelerate the results of everyone's books, you know,
Yeah,
that we're currently have that relationship with, and it also help us to develop maybe the line of business that our customers are. As an example would be like if you're in the construction field and all we would have to do is type in the word, the construction, and it would
yeah,
automatically populate everything that pertains to what we need to get better results or ask the customer to provide. And that
yeah,
would help us. So we could do that by the type of businesses that we're dealing with. I think it would make it so much easier for our clients and for us.
yeah, yeah. Sam, what about you?
I think mostly what I've seen is that whatever that we're missing and whatever that we can solve, we can easily ask AI about it, and they will be able to help us out, especially for reconciliation.
Mhm.
There were times that we're having some troubles on doing some reconciliations on one of our accounts, and then when we ask AI about this, in just a snap, we could get an answer. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
really helpful, especially for our bookkeepers and for our tax team that we're implementing AI.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that so just to kind of give everybody an update of kind of what I've seen technology wise, right now the 95 to 99% accuracy of specific GPTs for accounting professionals is very good. Like the research tools are fantastic. Like they really are. I'm very pleased with those. And I feel like those are already making a huge impact in our firm. The next steps are going to be month-end close, payroll processing, and then the last piece will be tax preparation. But I have seen an AI prepare a individual tax return from onboarding to completion with no errors. So that technology is out there and it is coming. It is something that, as accounting professionals, we have to tread lightly on just because of the need for accuracy. AI can still make mistakes. Like we are still very far. I won't sit here and say that AI is perfect because it's not, right? And that's where the human piece comes in, where you're still going to have to check it. And I think I've told that to our team. We're going to have to, yeah.
Mhm.
And these are some of the common concerns, right? Is it going to be accurate? Is it going to be right? And it's not going to be perfect at first. It won't be, but it's going to make things a lot faster, and it will also make things a lot easier to update. Right now, if we have a tax return that we prepare and there's a change that's needed to be made, it's a day before we can get the change, completed, verify the change is done, and then send it back to the client again, right? But with AI, like those changes can happen in a few minutes. I know that in the past we have had clients come to us that, didn't have any books, didn't have any financial
Mhm.
statements, needed to get their
True.
taxes done, wanted to come to our office and get their tax returns completed. And in the past, we've had to say, no, that we can't do that because, typically those things take at least a week for us to get it all organized and done. But, going into this next year, it's going to be, it's very feasible, that we will be able to do that we will be able to have, some of our business clients, even individual clients with complicated tax returns will be able to come into our office. And with the time span of like maybe an hour to 3 hours to be able to get 100% of their taxes completed, before they leave. I mean, it's going to be, those things are really coming. And I really think that within our profession, some of the things that people are afraid of is, am I going to lose my job? People are still
Yeah.
might still be thinking, oh, well, if we have, all this AI technology and it will do the tax return on its own, what do I need? What do I need you for? Well, the AI is not perfect. That's number one.
True.
And the AI, and the thing about AI is it only will do as much as you tell it to do. So if
Yes.
you don't know to tell it to do something, then it's not going to do it for you. And that's where the need for the professionals is still going to it's still going to be a need. Like I don't think that's ever going to go away. Just because there's always a human element to it. There's always things that, I'm going to know that I need to ask you that an AI may not ask you. So I think there's always going to be a need for that human interaction. And I think also just, a need to check things. I mean, even with QuickBooks Online, we've had QuickBooks Online for years now, but it's still not always right. And
Yeah.
sometimes it puts things in wrong, and sometimes the rules don't work correctly. And, you know, I mean, it's technology and it's not foolproof. It just isn't. And so you should, I think that it's a good tool to use to make things more efficient and to do things faster. But I still think there has to be that quality control piece that comes into
Yeah.
play. Like that's definitely something that needs to happen.
Right. Yes.
I think it'll also accelerate the relationship. It'll improve our relationship with our customers also because
Oh yeah.
a lot of our customers, they have growing pains and they also are looking into maybe getting a loan or investing in something, in their business so that
Hmm.
they can have that growth. And we can react to that much quicker with AI and be able to kind of
Yeah.
gauge to see where we are and what they need to know before they make that leap.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So how are we exploring AI? Well, the first thing I did was I educated myself a little bit. Went to a conference and started to really understand where we were in technology for the accounting and tax industry. And then the next step that I took as soon as I got back, actually, I think it was even before I got back, I was messaging Sam, letting her know to put together a poll, because I wanted to know like how do people feel about AI technology and tax, preparing their taxes and handling their accounting. I wanted to see how our clients felt about it, and I think the number one piece of feedback that we got was that, people don't have a problem with us using AI technology, to do things, but they still want a person checking it and they want a person presenting it to them, right? They don't want to have a machine presenting it. They want to have a person doing it. And so, and that's kind of what I thought it would be, I mean, it's kind of where we imagined that how we would bring it in is by us is by us, trusting the tool, but also doing our part and checking it to make sure it's doing things correctly. I can tell you for us, it's going to make our time behind the screen, as I call it, tearing up the keyboard, right? Like beating up the keyboard all the time and crunching the numbers and all that, like that is going to be less so that we can spend more time with our clients. Which has kind of been my heart for my company all along. It was always about wanting to serve people in the best way that we can, to understand their needs and what they're experiencing in their businesses, and how we can best serve them. And so I think with AI technology, we're really going to be able to do that in a much better way than what we ever have before, because we're not going to be so busy with trying to, put together numbers all the time. Putting together the numbers is going to not be as time consuming as it's been. So we're going to be able to have more time being client focused, and then also just growing our business, growing core, being able to take on more clients and bigger clients, because we have a very powerful tool that can help us to more efficiently get things done. So I'm very excited for this. I think it's also going to make the employee experience better. Like right now, when people have questions, they're kind of they're limited to my time and our CPA's time, right? They have to wait for one of us to free up to be able to answer questions.
Yes.
But now with that GPT that we're using for specific to our company, um, with our implementation of that, the team is able to go to the GPT and ask those questions. And we had 2 employees start a few weeks ago, and I've really been focused with them on teaching them how to use the AI to get through different training topics and answer questions. And because they're being trained fundamentally on how to do that, they're growing as bookkeepers at a much, much faster rate than what I've ever seen before with anybody who's come to me looking for a bookkeeping role. Their ability to answer questions, their ability to ask questions, their ability to research information, because instead of having to sit in front of me and ask me and ask me and ask me and ask me, for 30, 45 minutes, they can ask the AI, and the AI will tell them, and train them and teach them. So I think that it's a very, very powerful tool that can be used in a lot of different ways in any company. But for us, it's definitely being utilized to help make our bookkeepers more efficient, and help to make our tax plans and strategies more bulletproof, to make sure that, we are not missing a single thing when it comes to your strategy and plan, that we have got all the T's crossed and the I's dotted and every box checked. Like we know that, 100% this is the best tax strategy that we can provide. And we're able to do it a lot faster than what we ever have been before, which I think is also going to be a great money saver for our clients, and it's going to provide better service to them. I say as we grow and evolve with AI in the company, the communication is definitely going to stay there with our audience, and with our clients. I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with it, and we've even discussed internally here at the firm, that if somebody's not comfortable with it and they don't want AI getting into their finances at all, they want us
Mm-mm.
to do it, the good old fashioned
Manual.
way.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
can accommodate that. We will accommodate that for the next few years, probably, until it becomes more secure and more and just more reliable, when
True.
the occurrence of, they call it hallucinations, that the AI hallucinates, which I think is an interesting way to put it, but
Mhm.
that's what the technology firms are calling it, is the AI hallucinating. But as those instances and occurrences become less and less, we will start to do away with the manual processing of returns and bookkeeping. But I want to assure our audience, and I've expressed this to our clients as well, that if they would prefer that we continue to handle things just the way that we always have for now, we're definitely going to be able to provide that service as well. I think the other thing to take into consideration when it comes to AI is the security, the cybersecurity. Sam, do we have a slide on the cybersecurity side of things?
Mm, no, I don't think
No,
so.
that's okay. That's okay. I can just talk about it. Um, So we have only deployed in this firm up to this point research tools. Is the only thing that we have
Mhm.
right now, the only thing we're using. We are preparing to implement some other pieces of technology, However, the very first layer that has to come into play is hardware and cybersecurity. Like those are the two huge things that you before, and this is for every business owner that can hear my voice. Before you go and you implement any agents or any AI tools into your business, the very first thing you need to do is make sure that you have the hardware available to run it, because it doesn't run off of just the laptop that you buy from from Target or Best Buy. That doesn't work anymore. You're going to have to get a much more powerful machine. And if you need assistance with finding the right technology, I have a great referral for you. A gentleman I met with yesterday. He has relationships with Dell and HP to help small business owners find the right hardware stack that they need for their businesses. So, and I'm happy to refer him out to anybody who would need his information. So if you need that, you can, call our office or email support@mycorebookkeeping.com and ask for the referral information for the hardware consultant, and we'll be happy to pass that along to you. He will be on in the next week or two. We're going to have him on as a guest so that y'all can meet him and he can talk all about himself and what he does and how he can help you with your with setting up your hardware for AI. But two major things in exploring AI technology for your business, one, hardware. Before you do anything, you look at the hardware requirements that you're going to have. And two, cybersecurity. Make sure that, you have got a few layers of security in your organization to keep your information safe, because I think that's gonna come into play in a much bigger way than what I think that it ever has in the past. I think there's needs to be a lot more requirement for it and probably regulation around it, especially if you're handling sensitive information from customers. I think it's also I think AI is gonna provide just a better client experience overall for everyone in every industry. Last year, I went to this it's like a school here in Austin where they train AI, they train coders, like software developer coders. And I was able to walk through a room where there was a bunch of students within this school learning how to create new programs using AI. And I just remember walking through there and listening to some of the voice, the voice logic and the answering of the phone and the responsiveness and what those conversations sounded like, and looking at the different things that people were building, you know, for different companies to help streamline and make things more efficient. And it was incredible to see it then and to see where it's already at now, last a year later. I mean, if you haven't considered implementing any AI tools into your business, I think now is the time to start thinking about it. Like I mentioned before, you don't want to be at the end of the implementation when everybody else is already deploying, because it's typically when you get that far behind, it's hard to catch back up. So,
Mhm.
any more slides, Dan?
Yes.
All right. So I think getting started with it, we talked about this a little bit.
Mhm.
Starting small, is definitely what I would recommend. That's what we did. That's what we're doing. We
Yeah.
started with the research tool, and then we're gonna go from there. I will tell you that, once you start implementing, it's kind of you're like, oh, this is great. What else is there? But take the time to do the cybersecurity piece, do the hardware piece. It will save you so much time and headache down the road. Just because, once you have these tools and you pay for them, and they're not cheap, they're going to cost money, right? It's an investment into your business. But you want to make sure you have the right tools the right hardware to run it, because it does require a lot more out of your computers than what they currently are probably doing. So I do recommend that. And then also, the human oversight piece of it. It's really important that you have some kind of um, an AI policy within your company. It was something that we had to start working on and writing a couple weeks ago, of how we use AI in the company. What are the authorized ways that we can use it? What are the things that you're not allowed to do? As an owner, you need to set those parameters for your team, because there are a lot of options out there, lots of options. You can download, I don't even know how many apps to your phone now that have the ability to look up things and to do, all kinds of AI functionality, all different kinds of GPTs and things. So you want to have that policy in place for your company, because there are so many options and so many ways that people can utilize that technology. And you want to make sure that your employees know these are the ways that we use it within my business and we don't do anything else outside of this. And so that's going to be really important as well. Um, and keep that QC piece of it. I think whereas before, in a lot of industries, we were very in the weeds of preparing the information. We're going to become a lot of reviewers and checkers for a while. We're going to be reviewing that QC part of it is going to become really important. So maybe thinking about what does that look like within my company? How do I quality control anything that's coming out of AI, for my company? Do I need to have, how many people do I need to have in line to check this? And then the people, if I have, like, let's just say architects, right? Let's say we can use AI to help build plans, right? Okay, well, the AI can help to do the plans. How many of those, once the AI is done, how many sets of plans can my architects check, within a day? What does that timing look like? So then that will tell you how many sets of plans you're going to be sending to them, how long it's going to take them to review and approve, right? Or send back for adjustments and changes. And then that will help you to determine how many different projects you need to have coming in at a time so that you can keep all of your architects busy on the review side of it. Sales is going to become a huge part of what you do. If you don't have a really solid sales process already, I would recommend that you need to start looking at that now. Just because that's going to become a big part of, I think, being successful at implementing AI in your business is that you're going to have to scale. You're going to also have to grow to keep all of your people busy. Like, whereas Casey right now can handle, 100 to 150, tax clients, once the AI technology is in and it's doing the checklist and it's doing the onboarding, and it's handling all of those things, Casey's going to be able to handle 300 tax clients, right? So what does that mean? How do I get, my responsibility as the owner, I got to keep Casey busy and working. So what does that mean I need to do? I need to sell. I need to find ways to get more business coming in the door to keep Casey busy all day long. That's my responsibility as the business owner. And so, one of the things I heard a few weeks ago at that conference that I was at in San Antonio, they said that every business is kind of in a startup mode right now. That every business that in America that does any kind of technical work, it's kind of like starting over again, and that's really kind of how I feel like we have that's kind of what I feel like right now, is because I'm having to rewrite a lot of processes and rethink a lot of the ways that we've been doing things to take into consideration this new technology. Am I in a huge hurry to do this? I mean, I want to do it efficiently, yes, but I also want to do it very thoughtfully to make sure that I'm doing it in the right way and in the right timing. And so I do recommend that, it's real easy to push forward quick and be like, oh, I'm going to pull it all in. I'm going to do it all right now. That always sounds attractive, right? Because we want to grow, we want to spend less money, we want to have a bigger bottom line. Like, all those things are important as business owners, but we need to do it responsibly. And by doing it responsibly, that means that we need to do it in a way that is not going to compromise anybody's information. It's not going to compromise, it's not going to compromise the jobs of our current staff, right? There may be some retraining involved. We talked about that the other day in a staff meeting, that we're going to have to, focus more on soft skills. Everyone's going to have to learn how to present. People that were working in the back that were only doing coding of transactions and things like that, they're going to have to learn how to some different skills that maybe they hadn't done, things they haven't done before. And it's my responsibility as the owner to do that training. So lots of new things coming with AI. And if you're watching this, and Sam, you can switch to the next slide while I finish talking. Looking ahead, it's perfect. It's like you knew, Sam. You knew the way I was going to talk about all of this. But if you are, I cannot speak to AI implementation in every industry because I don't know all of those details right now. Right now I know specific to what I know in the accounting world. And I can tell you that what I have seen and learned over the last 4 weeks, really in the last year, in the accounting world when it comes to this type of technology, is there is a lot of preparation that has to go into place before you successfully can deploy and really start like having this work in your firm. But also there's a lot of retraining that has to happen with your team. Um, I would really like to um, I would like to, offer some time to any other firms that are watching, firm owners that are watching that maybe want to ask questions or want to collaborate or want to just chat about all of this. I'm more than willing to talk with you about my experience and what I've seen so far and, share with you in a little more detail, what we're doing. Um, one of the things that I definitely don't want to see is a lot of people in my profession leave the profession, because that's, we all worked so hard to get our businesses and firms to where they are. I would hate to see a piece of technology be released that, that a bunch of people within my profession end up leaving because they can't find a way to survive with this new technology, because I think that there is a way. I just think that we have to look at it from a different point of view, and we have to also go back to the roots of why we started doing what we do to begin with, right? Like as accountants and professionals, you know, I can speak for myself, and some of my other colleagues and peers, that we went into this business to help people, to help people have clarity in their financials, to help people understand what was happening in their businesses, to develop strategies and plans for people to reach those longer term goals, whether it was to sell your business or whether it is to grow your business and, pass it down to your kids. What does that look like? If you have a real estate portfolio, you're like, what's the best strategy for me with my real estate portfolio so that I can, successfully hand it down to my children in 20 years? How does all of that work? You know, all of those things, helping to develop those strategies and plans are the reasons that I went into this field to begin with, right? Was to try to help people, help these small business owners to navigate all of these things. And for me, I feel like the implementation of this technology is going to allow me to do that more than what I ever have in the past. And I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about the future of where this profession is going to go, what we're going to be able to do for people, and of how it's going to also level up all of my team. Rather than, like I said, being behind a computer screen doing the same repetitive tasks over and over again, they're really going to be able to use their expertise, their knowledge, their people skills, their ability to present and communicate with our clients to be able to provide them with the information they need to make great decisions about their future. So definitely looking forward to all of that. We can go to the next slide, Sam. Okay. And so I would love to hear from anyone that has questions on this. Our AI webinar series is going to go on probably for the next I don't know how long, to be honest, like probably several, could be a few weeks, could be a few months.
Yeah.
My plan is to maybe till the end of the year with the way
Yes.
it's changing. But my plan is to continue to do these webinars and to have these conversations with everyone, and no matter what industry you're in, even if you're not in accounting industry and you're in a different industry, and you want to share your experiences with AI, if you want to share some of the things that you run into, the issues that maybe you've had, the questions that you have, or maybe even just voicing some concerns that you have that maybe I haven't considered, this is the platform for it. Like, I want this to be an open forum for discussion on these topics, because I think that that's how we grow and scale and thrive together, is by having these open communications and conversations about these topics, so that all of our thoughts and feelings can get on the table with this, right? And we can all move forward together in a way that will make us all successful. So definitely want to hear from you, especially if you have any concerns specifically about AI use in accounting and tax. Want to hear from you, want to hear your concerns and questions over the next few weeks. Sam, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. Over the next few weeks, we are going to have different people coming on to the webinar to talk about their technologies, their experiences, what they've seen, considerations that you need to make. I am on the end user side of this, right? So I am the one going to these companies, and I am the one who's, implementing their softwares into my business. And providing them with feedback, right, on things that I think that maybe need to be improved. But I'm sure they would love to hear from just a general consumer as well, right? Like, what are your concerns? What are the things that you are worried about? So, you know, if you're interested, just keep an eye on our social media outlets for upcoming guests that will be coming on the webinar. And Sam, do we have any more questions or anything for today?
No, I think that's all.
No? Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching and for participating today. And thank you to my team for being here today and contributing their y'all's experiences and knowledge on all of this so far. And as we go through this series, we're going to have maybe some different people coming on from the team that are going to speak to their experience a little bit more as well. And thank you guys for joining us today. And I'll look forward to seeing y'all next week.
Thank
Have a
you.
great week, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.